Hi, it's me, Alex Perella again. Today is December the 6th, 2015. This is the third video again with the purpose of exposing some facts and events and theories based on those facts and events. But first, some information I forgot to mention on my previous video in regards to a person that I met back in John Deere Credit, Mr. Jeff Lewis, who was the project manager back then, who I worked with very closely, especially the first 2.5 years. Also, later on over the years, Cheryl Farrar, or Cheryl Rich, who I worked with supporting Housing Limited. She was pretty much in charge of handling the situation back there with Lynn, the lady that I report to the police for harassing. And we used to talk a lot about through Yahoo Messenger at night. She was the receptionist back then, but told me everything that I should do in regards to that situation. Strangely enough, she sent me a few emails over the years, pretty much, but mostly about warnings and indication, etc. But anything else about Lynn? Well, she wrote me a letter once saying that I found recently in my paper, saying that that I didn't have a clear picture of my situation back then, and I wonder if she was trying to tell me something or warn me of something that I didn't know back then. I don't know, maybe she knew. But before I start talking about my life between the end of 2009 until February 2013, I'd like to say that the most important theory that could explain my present situation is that there was a plan to bury me in terms of work, family, friends, etc., which was orchestrated perhaps to cover up crimes related to drug trafficking and money laundering, something that I mentioned before. I also believe that part of the police, ACO, and perhaps another intelligence agency were and are instrumental for this to be successful over the years. I always have the impression that I've been watched through cameras, hacking my computer, microphones at home, in my car, especially since I started living on my own on March the 3rd, 2006. But I repeat, perhaps it started way before, in 2002, something I don't know. This was more evident when I had to go for job interviews throughout the years, regular appointments with the different job service providers that I've been dealing with, or Centrelink. There always been the feeling that they knew beforehand what I was going to say. At this point, one might think it could be said this is a conspiracy, but I don't want to use that word, because it's normally associated to delusional people or those who are looking for their 15 minutes of fame. It's not my case. I'm doing this now because this year has been particularly revealing in terms of certain things I considered before only suspicious. Following, I'll give you detail, among other things, about the few job interviews I had over the years. I got the strong belief they were somehow organized by the people I mentioned before. But I start with events that took place on the second half of 2009. By the way, I took the precaution of keeping a diary all these years, that in despite of the fact that many people say that I was not very well in terms of my mental health. But in May 2009 was the first correspondence from SIPSA regarding annual leave discrepancy. By the way, that annual leave was partially audited by the auditors back then, who were Agostinelli Perlen, and I was done as of the 31st of October 2008, because the financial year was ended in that month. In August 2009, an SMS from JD in regard Jonathan Dutton in regards JD onwards from now on, in regards the amount that I owe them for the annual leave miscalculation, which I disputed by email. It was about $1,800. On the 6th of November, following the lack of payment because I was unemployed and nobody was able to help me, so the real estate agent, the landlord decided to evict me from the property. So I had the last meeting or appointment with the VCAT in Melbourne, in Moorabbin. That was on the 6th of November, and I remember very well that I had a bit of a discussion with the judge, and that was the first time that I told her that when she asked me why I was in that situation, considering that I was an accountant, and I said, look, perhaps you should ask the police about that. That was my first time that I said that. On the 20th of November, I reached an agreement with GE Money for the debt on my previous car. It was a Ford Focus, and it was settled to $4,500 through the finance ombudsman, with the help of the finance ombudsman, from an original debt of $7,200. On the 25th of November, well, I had to leave that unit in Sandringham and ended up living in a roomy house at 60 Springfield Crescent, Hampton Park. The owner of that roomy house was Richard Casley, I suppose he still is, and the caretaker was Steve and other guys, all of them obviously dealing with problem with evictions. But I remained there for a few weeks. At the same time, I enrolled in another gym in Cranbourne for a few weeks. On December the 4th of December 2009, the first withdrawal for AMP, my superannuation, the amount that I have accumulated over the years working here, $10,000 was back then. The same month, I suffered a car crash with another guy who was going to follow me non-stop, trying to get some money out of me, despite the fact that I was unemployed. The same month, I moved to another gym in Keysborough, the recreation gym at Keysborough, where I met Richie Bree and the manager there, who was Craig Langley. In the same month, December 2009, I got the first of these job interviews that I mentioned before with Grant Tasker, a consultant for premier staff recruitment in Dandenong. Well, as I said before, the environment at Hampton Park was not very good, especially when I discovered that they have some plants in the shed. So I decided that I should leave the house immediately, and I found through Jacob, a guy from East Timor who was living there. He recommended me a house in Dandenong. That was the 41 Oswald Street. He was a friend of one of the owners, who is Ismail Mesquita, or Wisi from now on, and his partner Chang. So he accepted me at the house, and I started living there, like I said before, on the 19th of January 2010. At the same time, I noticed that my previous email address, Hotmail address, ritzalex@hotmail.com, disappeared. Despite my claims to the company, it's simply gone, vanished. In January 2010, Waze, an agency in Dandenong, paid the rent too easy, Ismail, although they have no record of that so far. It's something that I talked to them recently. On the 5th of February 2010, I decided, because I had some doubts about the way that the eviction from the previous unit was conducted, so I decided to go to the Sandringham police station, which was located in Hampton back then, very close to the gym, the trackside. In regards to the purpose of my visit was find out about the warrant of possession, because I already talked to VCAT, and they said that that warrant of possession returned unexecuted. So I went there, I talked to an officer, and he said that why I was interested in that information. I said because I thought it was not executed. He recommended me to call VCAT and said, look, I did it, and he told me that it was returned unexecuted. That's the reason I'm here talking to you. And so we exchanged a bit of rude comments, and it wasn't a pleasant conversation, to be honest with you. But in the end, it was evident there was a bit of a discrepancy between the version of events from the VCAT and what they had to say, because they couldn't find the warrant of possession. They said that they couldn't find that warrant of possession at all. And that is the first answer that they gave me. And that was it. So I returned from Sandringham to Dandenong without any kind of answer in regards to, or no clear answer. On March 3rd, 2010, I met Lady Judy Ann Steed at Gembrook at her home, and it was a very strange meeting. I saw some lights on my way back, but I never been able to identify or understand what it was. On April 2010, I found a job through. I remember it was an agency. I can't remember now. The company was Advantage, and they are no longer in the market. In Dandenong South, I met Rob Kirby, the operations manager, Steve Crothers, the CEO, and Mark Vester, who was the CFO of Regal Grange, the parent company. That contract was meant to last longer, but it only lasted 1 month. After there was a contradiction in between what they wanted among them. In June 2010, it was an incident when one of the guys living in the rooming house at Easy at Dandenong. Then his name was Sia from Samoa. I was about to call the police. In the end, I didn't. I tried to maintain this in the house because I didn't want any problems with the police at all. Easy took a very light position on that occasion, but is that okay? On the 9th of June 2010, I had a job interview at the Diggers Club in Romana with Clive Blasey, CEO, Lisa Ramato, and Judy Hayes. On the 28th of July of 10, job interview at Center for Adult Education in the CBD with Michelle Haywood and other people. In December, on the 7th of December, another withdrawal from AMP for about $5,359. I always wonder if it was there was enough money in the original balance. But that's okay. I couldn't find the papers yet from that time. On the 22nd of December, the first appointment with the Anne McBean, the consultant from Hanover, the job provider, new job provider in Dandenong. And in December 2010, I went to the Springvale police station because I was a bit tired about this whole situation, trying to find out about this lady, this woman that I unfortunately came across in Rambler called Carly Hall. And the constable Rafferty told me that for me to lodge a complaint about stalking, I should provide them with the name and the address of the person. And I said, look, I don't know the address. Otherwise, I would have come to see that person myself. So he recommended to go to the Dandenong Magistrate Court. He said that they had back then a software that they can find an address by providing them the name. So I went there, and they said that I was misled, that they didn't have any kind of software that could find that kind of information. And on the same occasion, I think that I met Kate, which was presented as a psychologist later on by Centrelink later over the years. At the same time, I asked to release my file for another job service provider. On the 6th of January 2011, I was assigned a new job service provider called Serena Russo in Dandenong, and Leah Benning was the consultant back then. A penalty for not attending a meeting was imposed by Centrelink of $47 in back that time, even though I didn't have any money. On the 2nd of February 2011, I worked a few hours as a bookkeeper for a company called Atlas Thermoplastics in Dandenong for a guy called Luis Gonzalez, a Chilean, who decided to fire me late in the afternoon without any kind of explanation. He sent me an email saying that we don't want you back here, and that's it. On the 17th of February 2011, another job interview at Alma Shutters with Paul Kirpichnikov, Terry, and Anne in Helen. Nothing happened from that as well. On the 21st of March 11, Serena Russo decided to pay Easy 3 weeks of rent, $360. It's something that at that time helped me out, but I always wondered, because these job agencies always complain about lack of resources, lack of money, and they were able to pay the rent anyway. On the 23rd of March, another job interview at ANZ Country Couriers with Bill Marcus for a driver position. Another job interview through Serena Russo at Door Trading in Braeside with William, who told me he needed a much younger person. On the 25th of March, the Thai couple, it was a couple from Thailand living in the house, they left the house. And from now on, I was the only one living in the house on Oswald Street. From the 28th of March and the 30th of March, due to the misunderstanding with the power bill, I was left without power for more than 3 days. So I was pretty much without electricity over those 3 days. On the 15th of April, change again the job service provider from Serena Russo to Wise Employment in Dandenong. Faye and Sonia were the consultants there. On the 10th of May, there was a black Holden parked in the driveway of Oswald Street, and some things were stolen from my room, I suppose. I couldn't find them anymore. On the 16th of July 11, 2 job interviews, 2 different days. The first one was suspended due to the gas leakage at Gold Buyers in Wantirna South. The same building as the police there. It was with David and Rebecca. That job interview was obtained through Catherine Doe from Randstad, a job agency. There was on the same year was an incident with another guy at the recreation at the gym. He was behaving very strange, but he used to talk to Bree and Craig anyway. On the 25th of May 2011, there was a job interview at Butler Market Gardens in Heatherton with Rick Butler. June 6th, another job interview with Hume Doors in Dandenong with Paul Harding. June the 9th, change gym from Recreation Keysborough to Doherty in Dandenong. On the 5th of July, an argument with Izzy, telling him that he was involved and somehow in my problems. He denied. Another job interview at Dandenong Social Club. On the 21st of July, letter to Julia Gillard. So that was the first time that I felt really sick about the things that were going on in my life, so I decided to write a letter to the Prime Minister and other MPs. Nobody answered that letter. On the 29th of July, another appointment with Izzy, another argument with Izzy about not paying the rent. So the relationship was a bit deteriorated back then. On August the 2nd, there was some sort of indication from a shop, a local shop, an Argentinian shop that I used to buy here. There was a mistake putting the label. They put Roberto. I don't know who is Roberto. I don't know. And but I stopped buying from them. I don't know. On the 27th of August, a strong argument with Easy. He pretty much invited me to leave the house. On the 31st of August 2011, we reached an agreement with Waze to pay the monies that I owed him in terms of the rent, and talked to Natalie, and but Easy claimed electricity and gas bills as well, so he became a bit more complicated to negotiate those days. On the 6th of September 2011, I wrote a letter to the Argentinian embassy in Sydney. I haven't received any answer to this date. On the 8th of September 2011, I moved from the house or DC to another house in Mount Waverley with Elaine Foster for only 2 weeks, because she changed her mind, and she was very polite at first, but she changed her mind afterwards. I was assigned another new Jose provider from Wise Employment in Dandenong to Rhythm Partnership in Glen Waverley, because I moved to that address. In that occasion, I dealt with Charles, Lawanya Samarasinghe, and others. They engaged me with Juno Consulting for a training course, and which were called mock interviews workshops. And the contact there was Marion Osmond and Joe Boffa. Those workshops were conducted at the Atlantis Hotel in the city. On the 19th of September 2011, Elaine told me that I should leave the house, so I found another place to live. In the meantime, I was told by the agency, the Rhythm Partnership, that I should talk to the Salvation Army in Hawthorne if I needed some money. So I went over there, and they paid me 4 weeks of rent, about $540 for the new house, which was with Bobby Rahman, a guy from Bangladesh, in Dandenong North, in 8 Blackmore Street. So I moved there with, he was living with his brother and another girl. I mentioned the 4 weeks because usually they are suffering from lack of resources, and I mean from money. On the 30th of September 2011, Lawanya asked me for a job reference. So for the first time since I left CIPSA, somebody was asking me for that. She was very persistent in the fact that I should get a job reference. So I called JD and asked him about that, and he offered me a written job reference, which I didn't ask. I just was expecting some of this normal reference on the phone saying, "Oh, he worked here," and something like that. But he offered me a written reference, which I didn't expect. On the October the 5th, 2011, Lawanya, the lady from Rhythm Partnership, mentioned the bookkeeping position, and mentioned again that I should contact JD for that job reference. So I started to call him again. At that time, Marion was from Juno, was still trying to find me a suitable mentor, because part of the program was to find mentors for people doing the training. There was also a hairdresser that I was dealing with back then that I called Rihanna, who was giving me BS as well, the same that Nicole did later on. But it's okay. On the 10th of October, exchange of emails with JD. The first disagreement in reference to the system that were used back then, which were MYOB and Great Plains. On the 17th of October, job interview at Autistic Services with Ron, the CEO, in Seaford. On the 18th of October, job interview at EWKI, Brian Salas, in the city. On the 19th of October, talked to JD this time, he said that he agreed somewhat with my comments, strangely enough. On the 20th of October, a meeting with Wendy Stapleton at Reed in Dandenong, Reed and Partnership in Dandenong. She said that she could help me with the rent and car repair expenses, provided that give them receipts, which was strange as well. On the 22nd of October, 2 answers from JD with the same paragraph, saying that I was the one who made the business case to move from Great Plains to MYOB. And I answered that with my version of what actually happened, which was actually the opposite. Basically, the situation back then was when I started working with them, they didn't have any kind of software. They do everything pretty much on worksheets or Word or Microsoft Office products. They had no software at all, which was really strange for multinational companies. And I remember that I told them, and the people were complaining about the inaccuracy of the salaries, which were done through worksheets on Excel. So what I did is I recommended to the controller in London called Nigel Briggs to use any kind of software for that. And he said that the corporate software was the Great Plains, and because they always not always the payroll, but the invoicing was done manually on Word, using Word documents, which were easily altered or manipulated. So I said, look, this is a problem with the integrity of the information. Anyone can modify the information afterwards. We raise the invoice for clients or customers. And they said, yeah, but it's the way that we work. So I started to work with Nigel, and eventually he authorized me to work for payroll purposes only with MYOB, because simply because the Great Plains in London didn't have the payroll module. That's the only reason that he authorized me to use MYOB locally here in Melbourne. But he said that we had to continue using or doing the things manually until we were able to use Great Plains locally. So that was pretty much the picture back then. So I answered that. And he also said in those emails that he breached the rule by providing a written reference to me, which I never asked for. There was uncertainty over my departure package, which I disputed, and I said that I didn't alter, I didn't manipulate the system at all, and that I made a gentleman's approach to ladies in the office, which I talked about that before. And more importantly, he said that I didn't have the local accounting qualification for the role, which was ridiculous because I was CPA member since 2006. And that was pretty much it from that for now. On the 28th of October 2011, called several positions in the local paper. I found the cleaning one at Endeavour Hills Shopping Centre. It was for a shop called Best and Less for Kids. It was 2 hours per day, 3 times a week, $19.50 per hour. There I met Emmanuel Darmanin, the owner of Winterwhite, the company who I ended up working for, Josephine, his wife, and John Falson, who eventually will be my supervisor. I remember very well that the first day that I started working there, he warned me about young girls working in the shop. I don't know why he said that, but he said that. And on the 31st of October 2011, I started working as a cleaner. There were a lady called Sarah Bell, who was one of the ladies, and Sarah Smith, who was the store manager. On November the 7th, I enrolled in a course at MIS, which was a cleaning organization in Knoxville, with David Smith. On the 11th, the 8th, I worked 1 day at Best and Less in Dandenong. I asked for more hours. They found me this place in Best and Less in Dandenong Plaza. but it's too big. The place was too big, so I decided to. It was very physically demanding, and I decided to stay at Endeavour Hills. And I remember that day was a very strange event with the mature lady walking when I was cleaning the glasses at the front of the shop. One lady walking past behind me, touched my shoulder and said she asked me if I was trying something different, and I was really surprised about that comment, about asking the question. There was a call from a woman offering me a room, and I was looking for a room back then, with the same mobile number of a guy who was living in another room in the same house. And that was strange too. On the 10th of November 2011, another job interview at AWPL Retail Solutions in Port Melbourne with the staff affairs HR manager and Helen Rotella, the finance manager. On the 25th of November, I was almost run over by White Holden at Endeavour Hills car park. It was about 8 a.m. On the 27th of November 2011, strange emails from WSPA, the Protection of Animals Society, thanking me for donations that actually I never made. 29th of November, job interview at Alaris in Camberwell with Ellen and Sean. At the same time, Bobby, the guy at the house, asked me if I was able to put my name on the True Energy bills of electricity and gas using my concession card, which I did for a few months, from November until March 2012. On December the 8th, Andrew for Magic Steam Cleaning called me offering me a work as a cleaner in the city. I went down there, but it was a very strange feeling that I came back without meeting him. I didn't like the way that he told me over the phone, and other things happened in the train when I was going over there, so I decided not to go. On the 16th of December 2011, an appointment at Board Corporate, which is a company in Thomastown, offering me a cleaner position at Southern Cross train station. Eventually, I didn't accept that work, but the contract that has been sent by mail to me disappeared over the years. I remember that a police patrol was escorting me at Monash Freeway on my way back during these years. They were very, very visible. In 2011, in December, while I was working at the shop in Besales, I received a phone call from a Springvale police station, asking me for Vicky's address, because they found her mobile phone. At the time, I didn't know, because they moved from the address, so I didn't know the new one. So I told them that I didn't have that information, but they could contact her mother, and I gave them the her mobile phone number. But it's strange that they were unable to find that information. At this point, I like to talk about my some theories that I have, and they are just that, theories. Putting all together all the information, all the things that I've been telling you. The first one is because of the insistence that the lady from the agency asked me for the reference. I think that perhaps somebody wanted to set up JD with the job reference, using him, I don't know in which way, as scapegoat, I don't know. And perhaps he in exchange threatened them with telling the truth about this operation, with me being conducted way before we met in 2008. I don't know, it's just a theory. The other theory perhaps is that Tamara perhaps didn't accuse me, according to, well, this is what Karen Gonzalez told me, that she accused me of approaching her. Perhaps what she did was threaten them with telling the truth about what they were doing with the invoicing. which I wasn't aware of that. Back then I didn't know what they were doing. At the time that I was working there, I never seen anything strange apart from the fact that they were working in a very poor way, putting at risk the integrity of the information, the financial information. At this point, I need to stop here, and I'm gonna start in a new video for another half an hour. So I will talk to you later. Thank you. Bye.